Otis Sanford, of course, is ABC24's political analyst. Laura Testino, first time to be with us, is a reporter with the Daily Memphian. And Deidre Malone is the CEO and founder of the Deidre Malone Group.
I like
the Carter Malone Group, and a political consultant. All right, so let's talk about the voter turnout, because we have been kind of keeping an eye on this since it started. And Otis, as we have been reporting this week, the numbers keep changing, obviously, because more people keep voting. But basically, we're down 35% in Shelby County from where we were 4 years ago, which is a lot, especially when you look at the state of Tennessee as a whole, right. Where voting is down just 1%. It's very negligible. Although I did find out that as of today, of the 38 states that now have early voting in the U.S. right now, voter turnout for early voting is down 13%. So there is a general trend there. There's certainly not, there's not a single state where voting is up. Early voting is up from 4 years ago. You have a lot of things that you think could be playing into this. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the number one thing here is that it's very difficult to compare this to 2020. Primarily because 2020 was just such an anomaly when you look at, we were right in the middle of the COVID pandemic, and a lot of people, matter of fact, we had a huge absentee voting that year. People mailed it in, they didn't want to go anywhere. And the ones who decided to vote in person, they chose to vote early and try to pick a time when there would be fewer people there. You had social distancing all over the place. You wore your mask, and then you got it out of the way. And you didn't have to worry about it on Election Day. That is not the case this year. I think that the early voting this year, yes, it is down from 20, but it is up from 2016. And while the Election Day voting in 2020 was only 54,000 people, it was 97,000 in 2016. I expect it to get close to 100,000. I'd be, if it doesn't, then I have egg on my face. But I expect it to get close to that 97 or even 100,000, and that may make up for the difference in the early voting.
Well, you and I last night looked at the county-by-county breakdown. Mm-hmm. There are some counties in Tennessee, there's 95 altogether, that are up.
Oh, yeah.
The Shelby County, had the second worst decline in voter turnout. Why do you think Shelby is?
Well, Knoxville was up. Well, Knoxville has a candidate running for the U.S. Senate, so I think you can give that some credit. I think Hamilton County in Chattanooga was up. I just believe, and I know my Democratic friends won't like me for saying this, but I think there are some quarters here that says there is really not a lot of local interest in this, especially countywide, other than the presidential race. They just haven't shown the level of enthusiasm for Gloria Johnson that I thought that they would. I thought that they would. That's just me. I'm
rolling my eyes.
I know you are.
Well, you take it on. You're the partisan here.
Okay, so Otis is so wrong. Let me just say that I truly believe that Democrats are going to come out for Gloria Johnson across the state. I was saying earlier that I watched the show when you all were saying she doesn't have a chance in heck. And I disagree. I just think that it's going to take a little time. I think Election Day is going to show you something. I think there are a couple of other key races that are going to drive people to the polls, and that's going to be the Jesse Husef race and John Gillespie race, and Mark White and Noah Nordstrom. I think those are the races that are going to watch, and I think Shelby County is going to show up. The Shelby County Democratic Party has reorganized. There's a lot of energy, a lot of excitement. And so I think Election Day's numbers will be about the same as 2020.
So while we're here, do you want to propose a wager? And when you come back next time, if Gloria Johnson is the winner, I will do whatever you think is a fair.
Okay, and maybe I might want you to cut that beautiful hair of yours. So yes, let's do this wager.
All right. What are your thoughts on? What are your take on the turnout so far, Laura?
I think I will always point to my colleague Bill Dries, who has brought out his filing cabinet of voting totals for me very recently. But I do think your point, Deidre, about some of the more local races for State House is what, having a bend on education, paying very much attention to. We've got a high school teacher in this race running against Mark White, who's, very much a leader in the education committees, leader for this kinds of legislation. Will really push some more interest in those races than, traditionally.
There's also these 6 referendums. We've talked about them on the show before. 3 of them having to do with gun safety, they're gun reform type measures. And I thought it was interesting, some comments that Richard Smith, the CEO of FedEx Airline and International, made to the Daily Memphian this week, where he's concerned. It started as a conversation about why he's concerned about the future of downtown, and then ended up that he's also thinking that a city that desperately needs help from the state isn't apt to get it because of these referendums. Here's what he had to say. He said, I think desperate is a better word when talking about his thoughts about downtown. If we can't use this moment and this opportunity to get downtown going again, then downtown is just, I'm not going to say it's going to wither and die, but. And then he went on to say, I get the city council feeling like they need to do something when it comes to these gun referendums, at least in terms of optics, seen as trying to do something. But with state law preempting anything in the referendum, I just think it was a needless fight that they did not need to pick. And he finally says, we don't know how much support we're going to get. Talking about the businessmen lobbying on behalf of the city to get some funding for the Grizzlies and the FedEx Forum redo. He said, I don't know how much the council has ticked them off. My hope is that J.B. Smiley may be right and that those of us on the business side will be able to carry the day. I'll let you take this one first because it was your publication that put this out. I thought it was a great get for Jeff Hawkins and was very illuminating. When there are very few business people, when they speak in this community, that get your attention and really should get your attention. And Richard Smith's concerned about downtown, where his office is and overlooks FedEx Forum. He wants downtown to succeed probably as much as anyone, and he's concerned.
Yeah, so I want to plug this in relation to 2 other things that we're talking about here with what he spoke about in this article. First, this ran alongside reporting from my colleague Sam Hardiman about the revenue generated by the downtown TDZ, showing that this is showing some recovery. We're not totally underwater as much as we've been in the last few years on the TDZ. And second, maybe Otis, you will talk about this a little bit, but we got a little bit of heat for having it run on the front page. But yeah. What ran also on the front page of our news site was, as it has for Mondays and Thursdays throughout the month of October, our Point of Impact gun series. The story that ran on Thursday was my contribution to the series, where I interviewed a couple of people who had grown up in places like Lemoyne Gardens, places like Claiborne Homes, where they go from being 3rd graders who are finalists in an art contest to returning home and being held at gunpoint. Both of these men later served time in federal prison, 8 and nearly 13 years, and shared some really illuminating thoughts about coming out of prison when they did in 2016 and 2020. One of the people that I spoke to said it was like coming out of a wormhole. The way that the power of guns had changed in that amount of time, even for somebody who had grown up around gun violence where that was the norm. And just, these are people who also won't be voting on the referendums. They don't have the right to vote.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And that is an interesting point because, I hear, this is a tough one for me. I hear what Richard Smith is saying. You got the ends justify the means in terms, let's get the money we need to revitalize downtown, get the funding we need for FedEx Forum and the redo there and some other exciting things they might be doing to Beale Street as well. But on the other hand, it's easy for these rural lawmakers to pass judgment on Memphis and for wanting to at least have this referendum. They're not dealing with what we're dealing with.
Exactly. And to your point, Richard, as much as I appreciate Richard Smith, he's one voice in this community. You got to think about the people that are having to go through these violent acts because there are no, you don't have to have a permit. Like, I'm a gun carrier, but I have a permit. Mm-hmm. I believe you should have to have a permit to carry. And so I think these referendums make sense. Who wants to see somebody walking down the street with what are the
AR-15.
That's what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. Yeah, nobody. So I think a permit is needed. And as much as I appreciate Richard Smith and FedEx and his opinion, he's one person. Yes, we have to deal with the legislature, but Shelby County and Davidson County have different issues that they have to deal with, and crime is one of them. So having a license is important.
Otis.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate Richard Smith too. And I do think that it was a slam dunk get by Jeff Calkins, and it should have been on the front page of the Daily Memphian. I have no problem with that. But I think what we fail to realize here is that when we're talking about sending sales tax money to Nashville and then getting it back, which is rightfully we should get it back, diplomacy cuts both ways. And you can't expect the city council to just sort of kowtow to the legislature's edict about what you can and you cannot do at the local level. They've done that enough. And I've said this before, Richard, these referendums, while they won't go into effect, obviously we know that, they are trigger laws. The same thing happened in the legislature when they passed a ban on abortion. It was a trigger law, waiting for the time when the Supreme Court would overturn Roe versus Wade. Well, these laws may, if the referendums, I mean, if they pass, and I think at least 2 of them are going to pass. I don't know about the assault ban, but the others are going to pass, and it'll just wait around for the legislature to have some sense and pass some reasonable gun reforms and allow those referendums to kick into law. That's the way I see it.
I'm over time, but I want to show a mailer that's gone out to Memphis voters that was paid for by the Memphis City Council, AKA Memphis taxpayers. And it's just generating some heat. I got several emails about this, like, why are city tax dollars being spent sending out a mailer to publicize the faces and the names of all the city council, and of course J.B. Smiley and Canale are high profile as well because they're higher up in the chain, I guess, of city council leadership, when none of them is on the November ballot, not a single one. Then you flip to the other side of the mailer that went out, and they do give a brief synopsis of what the six referendums are, but really, what was the point of it? And a city that, well, all right, but in a city that's fighting, city council's never done this before.
Yes, they have.
Name when they have.
Absolutely, because my firm helped them
Okay.
on a referendum.
On a referendum?
Yeah, a referendum issue, and it might have been on, I'm trying to remember what the referendum was, but we did a mail piece, we did a TV spot, if I'm not mistaken, so they've done this before.
Okay.
With taxpayer money.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
You're okay with that?
Yeah.
I'm okay with that
Okay.
because it's education.
Okay.
I mean, I think there's something to be said for making the public know and taking a public vote on spending money for this kind of thing. I do think voter education, if we're wanting to increase voter turnout, can make some sense. But some transparency by the council and how they were spending the money to do this is also really, I think, fair.
Notice every station, every publication in this town is done. You can go on their website and find as much information and education as you want about these referendums. And we don't have all the faces of the city council members.
Well, that's the problem I have. It is educational. I will grant Deidre that, because I do understand that a lot of people, despite the fact that the news organizations have tried to explain these, there's still a lot of people who don't know about these referenda. So an education piece is fine, but let's do it without putting their photos up there. I mean, people are going to look at that and say, well, I don't see their names on the ballot anywhere. I just think it was a little overkill, even though I agree with the education part.
Will you concede that?
No, I'm not going to concede that.
I'm trying. All right, we're going to take a break.